सङ्गृहीतं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Welcome you all to Bhagavadgita Chapter 5. How many of you attended the quiz last week? Okay. Chapter 5 is called Karma Yoga Action in Krishna Consciousness. It's a small chapter, it just has 29 shlokas. So this shlokas again, 29 shlokas can be divided into 4 sections. So we'll go one by one. First section is from shloka 1 to 12. It describes the ways of living, how one must live or lead his life. Okay? Now in this world, everyone may have a different way of living. No? It might differ from each person. A way of life which one person may follow might not be followed by the other person. It's a different taste of life. Each one of us might have a different taste. It can be anything, different taste in terms of food. We all might have our favorite food. Something that I like may not be, or necessarily may not be liked by the other person. Similarly, our wishes, or somebody might like a night drive, right? Going, or somebody might like traveling, or somebody might be liking to stay alone. And whereas you see another person may not like to stay alone. He always wants to stay. He wants people to stay with him. So like this, we have different people have different taste. The lifestyle what one might like is necessarily may not be liked by the other. So the Shastra says a proper living should have 2 to 3 important things. So we'll see what are those. So an ideal living should have these things. An ideal living, firstly, it should be meaningful and it should be beneficial for us. Right? The life which we lead, if it is not benefiting us or if it is not being meaningful, then it does not hold any value. So firstly, it should be beneficial and it should be meaningful to us, beneficial at least for us, right? And second is not only it is benefit for us, but it should be beneficial for people around us. So this is very important. Some people there are some people who thinks that okay, I have to just take care of my family, my own business. So for the sake of me and for the sake of me being happy, I can trouble others. Or he or she might say, I am not bothered about what other feels, but it's just that I have to be happy. So that's not a good mindset. We should not only take care of the life benefiting us, but also we have to make sure that it's beneficial for people around us also. In other words, we have to make sure that the life which we are leading should not be disturbing to others. It should not disturb others in any ways. Yeah, this is the second point. And third one, it should not only benefit us in this life, but also it should benefit us in the future life as well. That is, whatever life we are going to take next, it should be beneficial, which means it should be a permanent. Whatever solution and the way of living which we choose, it should give you a benefit which is permanent, which is going to help you in the life after this as well. So if you see these 3 points, as per these 3 points, the Shastra says there are 2 types of living. One is Pravritti Marga and the second is Nivritti Marga. Okay. Now before we see what these two ways of living are, we'll see the shloka, first shloka, where Arjuna is putting a question to Krishna. Arjuna uvacha sanyasam karmanam Krishna punaryogam cha shamsasi yachre etayor ekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. Translation. Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all you ask me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? Okay. So here Arjuna has a question. He's asking Krishna, first of all you told me to renounce. You told renunciation is good. Where Krishna says in chapter 3 we saw the entire chapter was called renunciation. Karma yoga, work, renunciation. So Krishna here first explains about renunciation, and then in the 4th chapter Krishna told you have to work, but you have to work with devotion. You have to do your work and then do that work with devotion. Now Arjuna is getting a doubt. Firstly you told me to renounce, now you are saying work with devotion. Now can you tell me which out of these two is best? Now this is what is Arjuna's question. Okay. So before we go into Krishna's answer, we will try to now see those two ways. Pravritti Marga. What is Pravritti Marga and what is Nivritti Marga? See, actually if you see, Pravritti Marga and Nivritti Marga is the two recommended ways to lead your life. If you see, the goal of both these Pravritti and Nivritti is the same. Ultimately when you see a goal of human life, to put it in a simple word, is to go back home, back to Godhead, which means we have to surrender to the Supreme Lord and go back home, which means it is towards liberation, what we call as mukti, right? So everyone in this world is looking, although some people might know it or they might not know, I mean the goal. Some people might understand it or some people might not understand it, some people might not even know that their goal is mukti, but it does not change the fact that the goal of human life is to get mukti, to attain the Supreme Lord. Okay. So Pravritti and Nivritti, both of these has the same goal. Even when you take Pravritti also, it is to attain the Supreme Mukti, and even Nivritti Marga is also to attain the Supreme. But the ways of these two Marga, Pravritti and Nivritti is different, and we will see what it is. So as immediately when we are born, as soon as we are born, the first stage of our life is education, right from the beginning, as soon as a baby crosses 3 or 4 years, a child is sent to the education to study, right? So this is the first stage of, it is common for everyone. It is not that somebody will choose education or then someone else will choose something else. No, the streams might be different, the goals might be different. I mean, somebody would want to become a doctor, or somebody would want to become an engineer, but whatever you choose, education is you will have to go through that education. And those days when you see, it was not, the education was not only about material, but they used to teach spiritual lessons also. Like today when you go to school, they teach mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, English, social science. There are so many things. When you see those days, along with this, there was also spiritual education that was given. And this stage where first 20 or maybe 25 years max, a person spends his life towards education. This in Shastras is called as Brahmacharya. This stage of life is called a Brahmacharya, and a person who practices it is called a Brahmachari, where the person not only gains knowledge from learning, but also learns the values of life, right? Learns a lot of values and life lessons on how to lead a legitimate life, right? So after this Brahmacharya, once this Brahmacharya stage is over, a person can take two directions. First is, a person can decide to get into Grahastha ashram, which means he can decide to get married, and from marriage No, he will establish a lot of relationships like wife, children, and so many other relatives. And this stage will go on for some years. As per the Shastras, it says that till 25 years it is a stage of brahmacharya, and from 25 to maybe till 55, 60, it is a stage of grahastha, where you are involved in family life. You get married, you are a grahastha, you have a lot of responsibilities towards family and society. You take care of your family, it's our duty to do it, right? Take care of our children, make sure they are settled down, give them a nice future. And then once you are done, around 55, 60, it's a time you retire, or your children are grown up and they have got married and settled. So that's a stage where you retire from your life, and then you have some more free time. And that's a stage where you go seeking towards spiritual salvation, and that's the stage which is called as vanaprastha. The third stage is called vanaprastha, where you retire from family life and then you go seeking spiritual salvation, and then some time you spend there, and finally then you take sannyasa. Now this route where a brahmachari, after a brahmachari, he chooses grahastha ashram, he enjoys his life in a legitimate way. When we say enjoy, it is not that we can do anything and whatever we want. It's been done in it's a license to enjoy life in a legitimate way according to the Vedic injunctions. And then after grahastha life, you take varnaprastha and then sannyasa. Now a person who takes this route is said to be in pravritti marga. Okay? So this way he engages in sense enjoyment in a legitimate way, as mentioned in the Vedic scriptures, and after some stage he seeks spiritual salvation. Now you can see at the end he is seeking spiritual salvation, which means his goal is not changed, but then he is taking this route. Yeah, so it's called as pravritti marga. Next is nivritti marga. Now in this nivritti marga, even in nivritti marga, a person starts with brahmacharya. He takes his education. After brahmacharya, he makes his decision to completely engage or sacrifice his entire life for the service of the Lord. So he wants his entire life to be focused on spiritual activities and God consciousness. So what he does is, he skips this grahastha and vanaprastha. He will not enter into a marriage life. He will just skip those, and directly from brahmacharya he will directly take sannyas. He will completely dedicate his life to the service of the Lord. Okay, so a person who does this without having to bear the responsibilities of married life and grahastha ashram, such a person is said to be in nivritti marga. So now we understood what are the two differences, right? Pravritti marga is the normal route which we all know, all of us here have taken the nivritti marga, where we enter after our educational life, we take into grahastha ashram, married life, responsibilities, and then seek spiritual salvation. Whereas nivritti marga, after brahmacharya, he takes sannyas directly. Okay. Now this is what is Arjuna asking. Now I told you these two ways to make you all much understand about this importance of this question. Now I repeat the translation. Arjuna is asking, "Oh Krishna, first of all you asked me to renounce work, which is sannyasa, and then again you recommend to work with devotion. Can you tell me which is more beneficial?" Now Arjuna is asking, out of these two, which is more beneficial? Should he renounce completely and take sannyasa, which is nivritti marga, or should he work in devotion, which is kind of a pravritti marga? Now, it's a very, very important question, because sometimes even in our lives, especially we discussed in third chapter, whenever we are in depression, or sometimes when we are completely stressed out, at least for a moment, all these kind of thoughts comes into our life. Oh, why is this family life? What is this relationship? This full of tension, this full of problems, and every time it is sometimes better to be alone. I have to leave everything. Let me leave my family responsibilities, house, home, everything. I have to leave everything and let me run away. Sometimes even though we don't do it, these kind of thoughts come, right? And sometimes also we take a decision, let me take around 1 month leave, or at least take 2-3 days or 1 week leave, and just go and spend some time seeking peace. Let me leave all these things and let me go and become a sannyasi or a yogi. These kind of thoughts comes, right? So this is what Arjuna asking. Krishna, what are you saying? Are you asking me to do that, or are you asking me to work in devotion? Now Krishna answers this in the next shloka. Shri Bhagavan Huvacha Sannyasa karma yogascha nishreyasa kara ubhav tayaustu karma sannyasat karma yogo vishishyate. The personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. So Krishna here says, both these work, whether it is sannyasa, which is renouncing yourself, or working in devotion, which means doing your duties and then doing devotional activities as well, both are good, both is good for liberation. So here it's kind of a confirmation that both these, whichever path you select, both the goal should be liberation. But both are good, but of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation. So here Krishna says, Arjuna, don't think of sannyas. You are a king, you are a ruler, you are a kshatriya. It's a duty for you to fight. You have to fight for your citizens. You have to save your kingdom. You have to fight for dharma. Otherwise, what will happen? Kauravas will take over this kingdom and there will be adharma spread everywhere. So it is your duty. You are a king. You should not forget it. You have a family. You are married. You have children. So you will have to take care of you have to do your duties. And then you do, along with that, you do your devotion itself. Don't think of sannyasa. It is not good for you at the moment. So in other words, Krishna is saying, Arjuna, you practice pravritti marga. Don't think of nivritti marga. It is not good for you, because as a kshatriya you are trying to escape from your duties, which is not good. This is what Krishna is saying. Okay. Now we will say why Krishna is recommending pravritti marga. What are the benefits? In other words, what are the benefits of this pravritti marga? So we have already seen, it is both are good, but Krishna here says pravritti marga is better. So we will see the reasons why it is better. First reason is, when somebody is in pravritti marga, he is always engaged. It is not that that person, because we see it is very difficult to not to be engaged. You just imagine we are sitting in one place. Even if someone can try just sitting in one place, closing your eyes and sitting alone or living in seclusion, right? Yeah, some people might say I like seclusion, but you cannot do that for a long time. It says, right, ideal mind is a devil's workshop. That is one of the reasons. And also, you might not have any engagement, and soon you will get bored, and you'll obviously engage. There is a chance that you can end up in doing some wrong things as well. So it's very, very difficult. We always want an engagement. We can see some people. Some people might say, "Oh, I have worked throughout my life. I've been struggling from the time I was a child. I have worked for 40, 50 years. Now I have to take some rest. I need some retirement. Now that is all my children have settled down. I really need some rest." So this person, he retires from he gives some voluntary retirement, gives up all his job, and he sits at home. And you see this person, he's worked throughout his life very hard, he's been engaged all this time. All of a sudden he does not have anything to do. 6 months passes away, 1 year passes away, within 1 year he starts some small business. He puts either some provisional stores or does something because he's not able to sit alone, he's not able to sit in seclusion without doing anything. Right? We can relate this. We would have seen a lot of people, especially during COVID time. You would have seen people would have just because, although they were not affected by COVID, but just because of sitting at home and having to do nothing, right? They went into stress. So there were a lot of people who were admitted because of stress-related issues also. So it is very, very, very difficult for us to be without engaged. Everyone needs an engagement. So this is the first benefit of Pravritti Marga. It will always keep you engaged, because in Pravritti Marga you have a family life, you have wife, you have children, you have that responsibility to work, or as a student you have a responsibility to study, whatever, no, the entire life it will keep you engaged. So that way there is an engagement. So that's the first benefit of Pravritti Marga, and that's the reason Lord recommends it to Arjuna. Second is, everyone wants a companion, which means we all want a relationship, we all want relatives. No, now many of us, especially people who get married, right? I don't know whether it is for joke or or they mean it serious. People will say that no, it is marriage life is no, it is a headache, or it is problematic. No, it is lot of responsibilities. And they generally go and tell the people who are not married, it is better you don't get married. I was very happy as a bachelor, but now all my freedom is gone, or independence is gone. You see, this talk is everywhere around the world, but the beauty of marriage is still everyone wants to get married, right? Nobody wants to, no, everyone, the husband is controlling the wife, or the wife is controlling the husband, or it is both ways, but still everyone, it's like theoretically we know, okay, there is something which is not correct or good, but still everyone wants to get married, because by nature, right, we all want, there is that beautiful, I'm just sharing this as a joke, no, there is a story where there is a session which was conducted for all the married people, and everyone, all the couples came, and it was more like no, fun-filled session, like just to encourage the couples to lead a happy life. So they asked a question. We need to make two sets. Whoever thinks, they drew a line, and whoever thinks that whoever thinks that who are not controlled by your wives, all of you all come towards my right, and whoever thinks that no, you are controlling the wife, so everyone stay towards the left. So the moment the question was asked, all the husbands, no, everyone came towards the right. So there was only one person who was staying on the left, and the judge asked, oh, I am very happy to see that at least there is one person who is not controlled by his wife. So everyone claps. So that person said, no, it's not like that. My wife just went to the washroom, so she asked me to stay here. She said not to move from this place. So that is why I am staying here. So it's about, anyways, that's the funny part of it. But the point is, still everyone wants to get into relationship, marriage and wedding. That's because we all seek that relationship. We all want that relationship. We want to have a family. We want to have children, siblings, father, mother, parents. And then from the wife's family, we also establish many new relationships. So this companionship is very, very important. So only in Pravritti Marga, you have the benefit of, one has the advantage of getting this relationship. And what is the beauty of this relationship is, even though we might fight, and even though we might have this difference of opinions, still we derive some kind of happiness from all these relationships, right? From parents it is different kind of happiness, from our children it is different kind of happiness, from our spouse it is different kind of happiness. So that kind of happiness, and as human beings in this material world, we naturally want that happiness. This is what we saw in our introduction chapter, first session, where all these human beings, as human beings, all of us are looking for one common thing, which is happiness in our life, right? So this, we derive that happiness through this relationship, and that's one of the reasons we are naturally pulled to accept relationships, right? And not only that, this relationship will also, another benefit is it will also guide and support. There are people always around you. When you are alone, right, and whenever you are in some problem, or when you are distressed, then when you are alone, it becomes more, right? And they always say, when you share a happiness to someone close to you or someone next to you, that happiness is doubled. And when you share a sorrow to someone, it is divided. When you share happiness, multiplied. When you share your sorrowness, it is divided, it is reduces. So we always want to share our things, and we always want people around us to guide us, support us. Now there are many elders in the family, and they can guide us always through their experiences, life experiences, when we go somewhere wrong. This is very important. And not only that, sometimes even when there are issues, right, these relationships, even when there are problems within these relationships, although it is a negative thing, still these issues will teach us good lessons and makes us much more matured. Now sometimes we see that, we all know that, in this life, generally the value is given for money. Only when people have money, people will be around you. This is not a false statement, it's very true, right? Although some people might have experienced, or some people might have not experienced, but sometimes we can see the world is moving in such a way that people who have a lot of money has a lot of value, and that person will have too many people around him, but the moment he loses all the money, then nobody even turns towards him. And when these kind of things, when we experience in our life ourselves, that is when we will understand the depth of that. And these kind of issues and situations, right, it will teach us a lot of lessons out of it, and it is sometimes very good that these kind of lessons, apart, it's not just always positives in his life. Even from the negatives, it is very important that what kind of lessons we learn from that negatives. It really makes us a strong person. These things will give us some good life lessons. Yeah? That's one of the, so this is the second benefit. First one is it will keep us engaged. Second one is it will give us relationships, and these relationships will always guide us, support us, and teach some good lessons. Yeah. And third one is, see, all of us have desires. We saw, right, kama or lust, and we also saw kama or lust is not the lust it is not only a lust between a man and a woman, but any kind of desires in Vedic terms is called as kama. So all of us has desires, and grahastha ashram or the married life, it gives us some platform or some kind of legitimate license for us to enjoy those desires, right? And of course it should be in a legitimate way, so that is more important. But the whole point is, once the grahastha life is done, once we are done with all our enjoyment, like I said, we'll have to give up those things, and at a certain stage we'll have to go towards seeking spiritual salvation. That's more important. So these are the three benefits. First one is it will keep us engaged. Third one is we'll have relationships, and the third one is it gives us some license to enjoy our desires. Yeah, grahastha ashram. Okay. However, in spite of these three benefits, there is one risk in pravritti marga. So what will happen is, in pravritti marga, because of these relationships, sometimes the relationships will get deep rooted, and we'll get entangled within those relationships. And by getting entangled within those relationships, we will forget our goal. There is a high chance that we will forget our real goal of life. Now what we saw that our real goal of life is to attain the Supreme Lord. That is, along with your normal duties, we will have to also work in devotion. So by doing that, there is a high chance that you will forget. So in Ramayana, if you see, Lord Ram, there was a agreement made between Lord Ram and Sugriva. So Sugriva said, you help me, asked Lord Ram that you help me from my brother, so help me to win over Vali, and I will mutually help you to in your fight against Ravana to bring back Sita. So Ram killed Vali and gave the kingdom to Sugriva, and then finally Ram said that anyways, let us halt our work now, because now it's 4 months, it's rainy season. Now it will be very difficult for us to go and fight. So you go back and lead your kingdom. After 4 months you can return. So it was then Sugriva also promised Ram that okay, after 4 months I will come back and meet you, and we all will go fight Ravana and bring back Sita. But this Vali, the moment he got the kingdom, he was too much materially, all of a sudden he got lots of riches, worldly affairs, kingdom. He was a king. He started enjoying his life. The moment he started enjoying more, he started enjoying more than what is required. The moment he enjoyed, he forgot about his promise which he gave to Ram. He forgot the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then he did not even return after 4 months. And then later, it's a long story, Ram had to send Lakshman to go and remind Sugriva, and then once he reminded, he came back. So this is what is life about. No, this is the risk of Pravritti Marga. So we'll have, the moment when we get entangled in our material affairs too much, it will always make us to automatically forget and obviously in Kali Yuga, all of our nature is forgetfulness. We very easily forget things, right? Especially when somebody does wrong to us, we will never forget. That time we will have sharp memory. Even if he is done 20 years back also, oh, this person is done wrong to me. The moment when we see, but if somebody is done good to us, within one day, forget about one day, within few hours, we will not even have the basic gratitude to thank him also. So it is very, this is the nature of, it's not our issue, it's the nature of Kali Yuga. So that is why it is said that in Kali Yuga, the only good thing is this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And that is why here also says, in spite, if you have to come out from this risk, what's the risk? The risk is that there is a high tendency that you will forget and you will get entangled. And for you to not to forget these things, you have to always keep reminding yourself. And how do you keep reminding yourself? By practicing devotion, by continuously practicing devotional service, like coming like this to Satsanga, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, hearing about the Bhagavadgita, Bhagavatam. So when we keep hearing about things, right, so it will keep us always reminded. And when we keep it, when we sometimes we might think, oh, we know everything, why should we hear? But sometimes it is required for us to keep hearing the things again and again, because it will keep reminding us, oh yes, it's like a alarm. No, it is, we all know that we have to wake up early in the morning at 4 o'clock, but still we keep an alarm, right? So because in case if I don't get up, I have a train to catch at 6 o'clock. In case I don't get up, I have an alarm ready. So that is why, like that, we have to always keep us charged up with this devotional service. So that will always protect us from this risk. Okay? So this is about Pravritti Marga. We saw the 3 benefits and the risk and how to come out of that risk. Now what are the benefits of Nivritti Marga? The only benefit of Nivritti Marga is that person in Nivritti Marga doesn't have to bear this family responsibilities. He's a free man, either it is a brahmachari or a sannyasi. He can just go around the world, he's a traveler, whatever time, wife will not ask why you are coming at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, or the husband will not question you. So you can, there is nobody, you are a free bird, you can go, you can spend your time. This is the advantage, but the disadvantage is that person is always in seclusion. So he will not have the advantage of relationships, he will not have the advantages of enjoying his desires. This is also very dangerous. Sometimes there are bogus sannyasis, they just in the name of sannyasi, they just put this saffron clothes and they just go make a mockery and make a fool of the people around them, and they do it. And at some point of time, when they are not able to control or control their urges of desire, they always fall into these things. And sometimes people also they falsely renounce. We saw what is false renunciation, Falgu Vairagya in chapter 3, right? And they get into renunciation and try to say, okay, I want to become a sannyasi, or 35, 40 years is passed away, and then some kind of desire come for them, and then they will try to come back, right? And then it's a problem. When you are in Pravritti Marga, you have a chance to rectify your mistakes. But when you are in Nivritti Marga, when you see, when a normal person does some mistake, it is not a very big thing. But when you see a sannyasi or a person in saffron dress makes a mistake, right, then it's a big news. Oh, what is this guy? He's a sannyasi. He himself is doing such a problem. So people will start judging. So that is why Nivritti Marga is very, it's risky. It is risky, and that is the reason Krishna here says, Arjuna, Pravritti Marga is safe for you. And this also clears our doubt. Our usual doubt here for the people in general or public is that, people who are seeking this spiritual things, or maybe ISKCON or someone else, all these spiritual organization, The moment you go there, they'll make you a sannyasi, or they'll make you, people will get caught, they will brainwash you, they will make sure that you leave your family, studies, everything, and you go away. But here we can say Krishna himself, Bhagavad Gita itself is not saying that. It says you do your duty. And Krishna is saying sannyasa is not good for you. Of course, there are people who really are very strong, who are very blessed, and they have the power to take that nivritti marga, and there is nothing wrong in it, because Krishna says both are good. But as a general human being, it is recommended that we take nivritti marga. Yeah. So whether, irrespective of we choose pravritti or nivritti, the most important thing is we have to do it. We must have devotion. We have to follow this ways of life by. We have to also have devotion in our life. That is more important. Okay. Now we saw about pravritti marga and nivritti marga, and how grahastha life is much more advantageous. Now we can see how can one lead a family life, a married life, or a grahastha life, and at the same time engage in devotion without being entangled. Now we saw the risk, right? We saw there is a risk that you will get entangled and you will forget devotion. Now Krishna is saying, how can one lead a family life and still engage in devotion without being entangled? Now this is explained in Shloka 5.10, 10th Shloka. Brahmani adhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti ya lipyate nasa papena padma padma patram ivam basa. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. Yeah, so Krishna here says, Arjuna, whoever leads his family life without attachment, he will not have any sinful reactions. And not only that, he also gives an example. He's a person who is like a lotus leaf untouched by water. Now why is Krishna giving the example of lotus leaf? You should have seen a lotus. Someone who knows the lotus leaf, right? A lotus leaf stays on water, but still the water, it is not completely wet by the water. You put some drops of water on the lotus leaf, only the drops will stay. The complete lotus leaf is still not touched. No, the water will go away. Has anyone noticed that? Yeah. So which means the understanding is the lotus is on water, but at the same time it is untouched by water. So that is what Krishna says. You lead a family life, you do your duty, but don't get too much attached to it. Just do it as a duty. As a responsible person, take care of your family, but don't get too much involved into it. When you get too much involved into it, that is when you have a problem. So when you do it unattached, only as a duty, and at the same time you engage in devotion, then you will become like a Padma Patra. So you will become a person like a lotus which is untouched by water. So now from these, to lead a grahastha life in such way, to lead a grahastha life like a lotus untouched by water, there are three things which we have to do. Okay, so we will discuss what are these three things. First thing is, a person should have mind and sense control. Yeah, so this is very important. So it does not mean only a sannyasi should have a sense control and full mind control. A grahastha need not have that. No, grahastha ashram or married life is definitely a license given to us. It is definitely a platform given to us to enjoy our desires. But we should not take that as a free license to enjoy more than what is required. So it should be done in a right way, it should be done in a legitimate way. So which we say, right, atika adre amrutanu visha agate. So if you even nectar also, if you drink more, it will become poison for your health. It will spoil your health. So whatever quantity of nectar is taken, only so much has to be taken. So in grahastha ashrama, that enjoyment is there. It should be done in a proper way and in a proper limit. If you overdo, then that is also a problem. It should not be taken as a license. So then if a person does that way, then he can keep his mind and sense under control. So if a person, as per scriptures, it is said that a person can keep his mind and sense completely under his control by avoiding 4 things. Avoiding, now we are still in the first point, which is mind and sense control, and in Grahastha ashram we can enjoy our desires, but it has to be limited. And for a person to be in Grahastha ashram or any ashram and still practice mind and sense control, he has to avoid 4 things. First thing is, these are called as the regulative principle. First thing is gambling. He has to not involve in any gambling. Second one is intoxication. Now intoxication means drugs, drinking, alcohol, smoking and all these things. He has to avoid it. Then third one is illicit sex. Illicit sex means sex outside marriage, which is not a legitimate way, which is engaging in relationships outside marriage. That is 3. And fourth one is not eating any food other than sattvic food. So this is very, very important, right? So these are the 4 things which means no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no eating food other than sattvic food. Okay, so this is about mind and sense control. Second one is, whatever activities we do, we should not be attached to the results of action. Now we had a very detailed explanation of this in the 3rd chapter, where we have to do our work as a duty, and we have to not be not too much of thinking about the results. The moment you start thinking about the results, right, that is where you get into too much of stress and anxiety. We also saw the example of, when a student just writes his exam and just not thinks too much about the result, that student is always happy. When the result comes, he will, whether it is less marks or more marks, the student will always take it positively. But whereas a student, when he always thinks about the result, I am expecting 90, let it come, I have to get 90, always dealing calculation till the result comes, and all of a sudden he gets 80%, then he is completely shattered. I was supposed to get 90, I got it 80, and what has happened there? Because he is too much thinking about the result. So Krishna here says, don't think about the result, you just do your action and leave the result to the Lord, or let the destiny take its role. Whatever you are supposed to get, you will get it. Whatever you are not supposed to get, you will not get it. Yeah. So that is a much more good and healthy way of looking into life. This is second. And third one is, whatever results comes, whatever you are doing, offering that results to Krishna. Right, when one it is we also saw that one would be a working man. He would be going to the office, working in a company, and whatever salary he gets, a little bit, whatever as per his capacity, he can use that for the service of the Lord. So that way what happens is the entire work is purified. So what he is doing is, although he is spending 8 to 10 hours in his office daily, because he is offering some results to Krishna, the entire thing becomes sanctified, the entire thing becomes sinless, right? So these are the 3 things. When a grahastha does these 3 things, he will also become a lotus leaf, untouched by water. What are the 3 things? Mind and sense control, not getting attached to the results, and offering the results to Krishna. Okay? But it is not very easy, for us to follow these things, especially mind and sense control. It is not very easy. We are not supposed to. We must not see what we are supposed to see. We must not hear what we are supposed to hear. We must not eat what we are supposed to eat. We have to. All these are forbidden. It requires great austerity, it requires great tapasya for us to follow these things. It's not very easy, because as human beings we are very tend to lose our mind. It is not very easy to control our mind. We can control anyone in this world. We can control anyone in this world very easily, but it is very difficult to control our own mind. That is why Krishna says in Bhagavadgita, our most and foremost and main enemy is no one else. It's not outside, it is within us. It is our mind which is our own enemy. But there is always an option, and that option is left to us. We can choose, either we have to make our mind a friend, or we have to make mind our enemy. If we make mind our friend, then whatever we say, the mind will oblige and listen to us. But when you see mind as an enemy, if we keep the mind as an enemy is always sorry, enemy is always no against. He will always go against your desire. So the mind will not listen to you. So how do you make mind your friend? So how to control this mind? It can be first we saw the 4 things which we should be forbidden, which should be stopped. Now there are 4 things which should be done. Now if you follow these 4 things, it will transform us completely as a person, and these 4 things are very, very important things which should be part of our daily or weekly life. It should be part of our continuous life, and this is the essence. Even by coming here and hearing Bhagavad Gita and reading Bhagavad Gita, if you see after all the 18 chapters, if you say what I learnt, it is if someone asks, it is said that one must, after the end of Bhagavad Gita, one has to start practicing these 4 things. So only then you will start seeing the results. Now these are the 4 things. Now we'll call this as ABCD formula. First one, A is for association. Association means, now there are many associations. There is bad association, there is good association. When we go to office, there is some kind of friends association. Morning when we go for jogging and walking in the park, we will get some association. We just spend time with them and having a coffee, reading the newspapers. No, the talk will be more about politics and what is happening in the locality, or what is happening in the next house, and who fought with whom, and what is happening in the US, what is happening in India, what is happening in the cricket match. So these all might be the talks. Okay, and if you go to the office, it will be about the office politics, and if you go somewhere else, it will be something about. So A for association. What association? All these what I spoke is material association. But the important point is we will have to take satsanga, which means eternal association, and spiritual association. That is more important, because from the outside world you might learn a lot. You might learn about politics, you might learn about the sports, you might learn about culture. When ladies get together, they might learn a lot about serials. So there are a lot of things. But then none of these associations will talk about spiritual things, right? So the spiritual things is only discussed about classes like this, satsang like this. So it's very important for us to take that spiritual association, because only by coming to spiritual association will teach you the goal of life, the truth of life, what is adharma, what is dharma. It distinguishes between what is good and what is bad. It will teach you the vision of how to see things as it is. It will teach you what is patience, what is tolerance, what is honesty, right? And what is mind control, what is sense control. You don't see a person going or jogging in the going in the park or to the office, and a friend comes and talks to you about mind control, sense control. No, right? It's very, very rare. So these kind of things are always taught in a spiritual association. So sangha, satsanga, that's why A for association. So that kind of association is very important. B for books. Now what kind of books? We read a lot of books, we read a lot of magazines, there are a lot of material books, there are a lot of nonsense literatures, but there are, here when we say books, it means scriptures, the Vedic scriptures. That is very, very important. Now this is something which is not being followed at all in this current generation. At least when you see our fellow brothers like Christians and Muslims, we will have to actually learn from them. They even today they very sincerely learn their scriptures, right? And they are always, the moment it's a Sunday, they always hold a Bible and go to the church. Or you ask any small kid who follows Islam, you ask anything about, he quotes from the Shastras. But here in the Sanatana Dharma, it's very painful that none of us are reading our scriptures, and that is one of the most important reason why all of us are ignorant. Nobody knows. Everyone knows Bhagavad Gita is our holy book. Even if somebody purchases Bhagavad Gita, he will keep that Bhagavad Gita in the puja room and he will do puja for the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know what value it gives. Of course, Bhagavad Gita is not different from Krishna, that is fine. But then unless and until you get that knowledge from the book, how is it going to transform you? If somebody comes and asks you, what is your Bhagavad Gita saying? How many of us here would be able to say? Or at least, okay, forget about the people present in the class. If you go to the open locality here and you ask someone, what is your Bhagavad Gita trying to teach? Nobody will know that what is even Bhagavad Gita, right? Somebody will say that, okay, my grandmother and my grandfather spoke about it, so I just know about it. So this is the problem, because nobody is reading. Today, Russia and China are so powerful countries, and somebody is done. I read an article some days back, and one of the most important reasons why they are so strong in their philosophy and so strong in their culture is they read a lot of books. They read a lot of books, and especially this, you see this communism, right? This communism is spread so strongly because that communism has a strong practice of reading books. All of them read a lot of literature, and that is how people get changed, right? And so we'll have to read, and like I said, it is not. We all spend a lot of time reading newspapers and other things. Yes, it is good. It's good for us to know what is happening around the world. It's good for us to get that knowledge, that general knowledge. But you see, can anyone read the newspapers daily, the same news for 2 days, 3 days? Right? Every day it's a new news. Somebody can, when you give him the same newspaper, today the newspaper has not come, so why don't you take the yesterday's newspaper and read it? Nobody will be ready. The news is old, it's gone. But the Vedic scriptures are not like that. No, first time you read Bhagavad Gita, and the second time you read the very same Bhagavad Gita, you will always come up with a new point. You will always find Krishna telling you a new point, or you will try to understand the same point in a different angle. So every time it's a new learning. Every time it's new, it's fresh. That is why even in last class we saw this knowledge is 5,000 years old, but still it is holding. Still people are holding it. It has its value. Why? Because it is transcendental knowledge. It is not a knowledge which is outdated, or it is not a knowledge where one time you read it, you get bored. It is ever fresh, it is applicable for all people, all place, time and circumstances. So that's the difference between the knowledge given in a newspaper and the knowledge given in Bhagavad Gita. So that is why reading book is very important. Why? By reading book it will give you knowledge. And that is what Bhagavad Gita also says. Srimad Bhagavatam says, if one has to have devotion, which means if one has to have bhakti, there are two byproducts of bhakti. One is knowledge and one is renunciation. These are the two. By devotion, you get knowledge and you get renunciation also. And this knowledge is coming through the Shastras. We'll have to read. Only when you read your textbooks in your academics, you will gain knowledge. Simply by coming and the teacher explaining something and okay, I will directly face the examination, then that student will fail, or he will just get a little bit of pass marks, that's all. He has to put his own efforts, he has to read the textbooks. He has to read the textbooks and underline things and study, make out points, make out notes. And this is what we'll have to do even in our devotion. We'll have to read our scriptures. It's not just that we come here, hear the Bhagavad Gita, okay, then no. We'll have to get that in-depth knowledge. That is when it will make us a proper, intelligent person. That is what will make us equipoised. We saw in chapter 1. What is the main benefit of Bhagavad Gita? It will make us equipoised, which means it will make us person strong, that he will be equipoised in both happiness and distress. He will not take happiness and enjoy too much, and even in distress he will not be shaken too much. He will have that strength and power to see both these things as part of life. So that is why Shastras plays a very, very important role. And not only that, it will give us more and more faith. Today a lot of people are either converting or going into atheism because they don't read the Shastras. They just tell that, okay, I don't see our gods doing any good for me. Arey Baba, you get into that. You first read your Shastras and practice it. Without doing anything, you just tell that, okay, I don't see anything happening. Then, because they don't have knowledge, that is why they are going into atheism or they are converting, because they're not getting to know what is good and what is bad. And that's the reason. And another reason is, reading Shastras will always keep us reminding, like we saw, right? We always have that forgetful nature. We always tend to forget. So reading Shastras will always keep you reminded, okay, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavad Gita is meant for all human beings. Otherwise what will happen? After 2 weeks we will forget everything. Today when I ask 2 weeks back what we discussed, or in chapter 1, chapter 2, what we discussed, without looking into your notes, none of us will. Yes, we would have understood a lot of things in the class, but you just, now if we take and discuss what we discussed in chapter 2 or chapter 1, none of us might know. Sometimes even I might not know what I discussed. Only when I take my notes I might know it. Right? That is why we will have to keep charging us, recharging to keep us, so that we are, with the help of Shastras, it always keeps us reminding. Yeah, so this is the important reading Shastra, and it is also like a supplementary diet. Whenever you go to a doctor gives you medicine, right? Along with the medicine, what does the doctor give you? A diet as well. You have a fever, you have to take medicine, and this 1 week you should not eat too much spice, you should not eat oily food, you should not eat cold items, ice cream. Now a patient should follow it very strictly. He can't think that, oh, anyways he is giving the medicine is there, why should I follow that? If you take medicines, yes, it will get cured, but a fever which is supposed to get over in 2 to 3 days will be prolonged. Your fever will go only after 1 week or 8 days if you don't follow that diet. But when you practice the diet strictly, your fever will get over soon. Similarly, here in our bhakti, our main medicine is our Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We all have to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. And the supplementary diets are these scriptures, reading the scriptures. It will always keep you energetic, and it will always keep you reminded. So A for association, B for books, C for chanting. We just saw how chanting, when book is like a diet, chanting is like the actual medicine itself. So we'll have to daily chant, and chanting in Shastra it is called as japa. We all say, right, japa. Japa can be split into two, ja and pa. Ja means janma and pa means papa. So japa is the one which frees us from ja and pa, which frees us from repeated birth, which is janma, and it frees us from all the sinful reactions, which is papa. That is what is called as japa. So we'll have to chant. So japa, when we start actually chanting this is the most important medicine among all, which will help us in this mind and sense control, right? It is very, very important, and it is the only medicine for Kali Yuga. I am not saying this, or it's not somebody else is saying this. This is given in the Shastras. In Kali Yuga there are many negative things. What is it? Kalim Sabha Jayanti Arya Gunagna Sarabhaginaha Yatra Sankirtanai Naiva Sarva Swarto Bilabhyate. Srimad Bhagavatam says. In Kali Yuga there are a lot of wrong things, but in Kali Yuga there is one good thing, and a person, whoever is intelligent in Kali Yuga, only that person will understand that the one good thing in Kali Yuga is this Sankirtanai Naiva, which is chanting the holy names of the Lord. And it is said that in Kali Yuga there are a lot of disadvantages. Like it is said that in Kali Yuga people are short-lived, in Kali Yuga people are forgetful, in Kali Yuga people are very lazy, and in Kali Yuga people are very in a fightful mode, they are in a quarreling mode. So all these things are there, but still there is one good quality which beats all these negative, and that is the chanting the holy names of the Lord. It is given in the Shastras. So that is why we will have to take this chanting, and at least minimum 108 times, which is one round of chanting Hare Krishna Mantra. Daily we have to do it, and we have to do it with concentration, with attention. When one starts doing this, then he will start seeing the actual changes in his life. Yeah. And fourth one is diet. D. Now eating sattvic. D means diet, which is eating always Krishna Prasadam, which means eating sattvic food. Now food is very important. Food is something which will influence one's thoughts and actions. This is very, very important. That is why sometimes it is said that it is always better you have food at home. Now when you see people who are continuously having food outside, right? So there will be a lot of changes in that person's behavior, because it also depends on who cooks that food. It's very, at home you see the mom cooks with lot of love and affection, and but you see in the hotels and outside, right, people are they have a deadline, you have to finish, you have to cook, they are cooking right from morning till night. They'll be fighting with these colleagues, using some bad languages and cooking, and it is the same kind of food and which we are also eating. So whatever mood that guy was in, the same mood will come to us also. That is why it is said that food will actually influence your thoughts and actions. And it is always said that a good vegetarian food is always healthy for our body, right? It is always new. It's not only nutrition, it also keeps our mind always thoughtful, positive, and things like that. You see, for example, when some patients go to the doctor, no, a doctor will never say that don't eat fruits, don't eat vegetables. No, a doctor always says stop eating fried items, stop eating non-vegetarian, stop eating that one, this one, but you eat a lot of fruits, lot of vegetables. Because it's not just that Shastra says, that is what is good for our body itself. For example, there is a petrol car, a car which runs on petrol engine. If you go and put diesel into that petrol engine, what will happen? The machine will go away. That is why when we eat all kind of nonsense, what we are not supposed to eat, our body, which is supposed to be for 90, 100 years, will go away in 50, 60 years only. That is why we have all these kind of diseases. And we are meant to be vegetarians. That is why if all of us go in front of the mirror and look at your teeth, right, it is not a canine teeth. It is all nice, soft, beautiful teeth. If you go and see a teeth of a tiger and a cheetah or a leopard, right, all those teeth are canine teeth, sharp teeth, because their food habits are different. But you see all the vegetarian animals, all their teeth will be like teeth of human beings only, right? So that is why we'll have to always stick to the sattvic food, which will always keep us spiritually energized. Not only that, it will keep us healthy and positive in our mindset also. Okay, yeah. So this is about, it's a long section. This is about shloka 1 to 12, which describes the way of living. Now shloka 13 to 16. It describes the doer of action. Who is the doer? Who is the person who is doing the action? So all of us learned about karma, doing action. Now it is very important to know who is the one who is actually doing that karma. Only then we can become free from it, right? So in 5.14, Krishna answers this. Na kartritvam na karmani lokasya srijati prabhu na karma phala samyogam swabhavastu pravartate. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. The embodied spirit, which means Krishna is referring to here to the soul, who is the master of the city of this body, does not create activities. So Krishna here says it is actually the modes of nature which is doing the actions. Now how do we understand this? So all of us do actions. Our day-to-day actions can be divided into two. One is involuntary action, second is voluntary action. Involuntary action means which is automatically happening without our control. For example, breathing. Is somebody controlling their breath? Yeah, whenever we do some yogasana or something, we control our breath. But breathing is actually automatically happening. That is why even when we sleep, we breathe, right? If we are controlling our breath, then when we are sleeping, we won't be able to breathe at all. So breathing is automatically happening. And heartbeat happens on its own. We don't have a control. Blood circulation within the body, right? All these things are involuntary actions. It is that which the body does. Body does two types of actions. This is the involuntary action which automatically happens. Second one is voluntary action. Voluntary action which means something that we desire to do. Now today we eat some nice rice, dal and thing, and tomorrow we think that, oh, yesterday I had rice and dal, today why not I will have some chapati and kurma. So we are taking a decision and we are eating, right? So that is what is called as voluntary action. These are all voluntary. Involuntary, and involuntary means again there is a digestive system which happens on its own, all the digestion, excretion, all these things. Okay. Now both these actions are done by the body. Do we agree to that? Involuntary and voluntary. Now as per chapter 2, Krishna is making a very important statement that we are not this body, we are the soul, we are the Atma. Okay. So which means even though this body is doing these two activities, but we are not the body. And Krishna here very clearly says that embodied spirit is not, even the soul is not doing the activities. So the actual, this is done by the body and the mind. Okay. Okay, let me explain you once again. These things are involuntary actions and voluntary actions are done by the body, but we are not the body, we are the soul. Okay. These things are done by the body and the mind. Now this body and the mind are the byproducts of Prakriti or nature, which we will see in the future classes. What are and these things and this Prakriti is what is that? The Lakshana of this Prakriti is this three nature, Sattva Guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna. This material nature has three modes or three qualities. It is called Sattva Guna, Rajoguna or Tamoguna, mode of goodness, mode of passion and mode of ignorance. Now it is actually these three modes which is the byproduct of nature, which is actually making a person to do all these activities. So the actual doer of action is the three modes of material nature. That is what is explained in this section. Next section is from Shloka 17 to 18, where Krishna explains equal vision, samadrishti. What is the equal vision? Now what are the characteristics of a person who has equal vision? Equal vision means samadrishti, a person who sees all the things equally. Now it says there are three characteristics of a person who has equal vision. The first one is he will be equipoised and steady in both happiness and distress. Second one is he will be able to control the senses. He will be able to control his temptations and he will be able to control his anger. And third one is he will be always happy within. He will find that inner happiness. We always say that people is always happy. He finds his inner happiness. Now this is very, very similar to what we saw in chapter 2. If you remember in chapter 2, we saw a person who is fixed in his consciousness, Tita Prajna. We saw a person who has fixed in consciousness will have three qualities. It is the same three qualities which Krishna mentions there also. He will be equipoised in both happiness and distress, and then he will be able to control his senses, and he will be able to control his anger. He will not have any fear. And third, he will be happy within. It's the same 3 points which is here. So these are the characteristics of a person who has equal vision. How to attain this equal vision? Shloka 27-28 explains that. Sparshan kritva bahir bahyams chakshus chaivantare bruho pranapanau samau kritva nasabhyantara charinau yatendriya manobuddhir munir moksha parayanaha vigattecha bhayakrodo yas sada mukta evasa. So this is, first we saw the three characteristics of a person with equal vision. Now how to attain that, how one can attain that equal vision is what Krishna has said here. We will see the translation. Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breath within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses and intelligence, the transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear and anger. One who is always in this state is clearly liberated. So here Krishna is saying one can liberate oneself basically by all this shutting, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breath within the nostrils. So all these things are basically Ashtanga Yoga. Krishna is saying, so one can liberate oneself by practicing Ashtanga Yoga, basically our mind and breath control. But you see in Kali Yuga this is not very easy, it is very difficult. Like I said, if somebody thinks, okay, let me close my eyes for 5 minutes and think about Balaji, Tirupati Balaji or whatever Vigraha Murti. In that, yes, maybe we are able to think, but in that 5 minutes there would have so many other thoughts which would have come into our mind. It is not very easy. All these things are recommended for the previous ages, like Satyuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, but for Kali Yuga it is not very easy. It is, in those ages they used to do meditation for thousands of years, just close their eyes and do meditation. For us, we won't be able to sit even for 5 minutes closed our eyes. Externally we might be in a meditative mood, but internally all thoughts of so many things would have come and ran away. So many thoughts would have come. So it is very, very difficult. That is why it is not practical in Kali Yuga. But Krishna is saying here, if you do that only we get liberation, but we don't have to worry about it. That is why in the next shloka, Krishna says, you don't have to worry. Yes, this is not very practical. So I will give you a easy method. That is shloka, our last shloka, conclusion. Shloka 29. And this shloka is actually called the peace formula in Bhagavad Gita. If somebody asks you what is the peace formula in Bhagavad Gita, you can mention chapter 5, shloka 29, last shloka. It says, Bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhurdam sarvabhutanam jnatva mam shantim richati. Translation. A person who is in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifice and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. So here Krishna says, those who are in full consciousness of me, which means those who are Krishna conscious. What is Krishna conscious? Being consciousness of Krishna. What is being consciousness of Krishna? Being always devoted. So whatever your activity, you continue to do your activity and continue to do your work. But engage yourself in devotion. By engaging yourself in devotion, you become conscious of Krishna. That is what he is saying. Being full conscious of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices. Now he says 3 things here. CEO, in all our, we say in our company, CEO is the top person. Here Krishna says he is the CEO of this whole universe. C means companion or friend. E means enjoyer. O means owner. So here Krishna is saying, I am the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities. Means he is the actual enjoyer of all the. So one might do any yagna, or one might do any sacrifices, or one might do any tapasya, which is austerities. One might do any dana, dharma, charity, whatever you do, whatever good things you do, ultimate beneficiary is me only, Krishna is saying, which means he is the enjoyer of all those sacrifices. The Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods. He says, I am the Lord of the planet, which means he is the owner. He is the owner of Bhoktaram Yagna Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. For all the entire Loka, he is the Mahesha. So he is the owner of all the. So we saw he is the enjoyer, he is the owner. And third one, he is saying he is the benefactor and the well-wisher of living entities. He is saying, I am your dear friend, which means I am the companion. So who is the actual CEO? Krishna is the actual CEO. So when somebody accepts Krishna as a friend, here Arjuna has done that. That is why Arjuna was successful. Because Arjuna was a close friend of Krishna. So even we must also consider Krishna as our friend in our life. Only then we also will become success. I'll just end with a small story. There was one king. So that king, he went out for a ride in his chariot along with his chariot driver. So it was his birthday. So he wore a very nice, very wealthy dress, nice costly ornaments dress and everything, and he went for a ride. So he thought, today is my birthday. So whomever I meet on the way, I will give them to ask me anything what they want, and I will give them. They can ask me whatever they want, because it's my birthday. I want to be happy. I want to do some good things. So let me gift everyone. So he keeps going. First person comes. He sees first person. So he says. So he does pranam. Okay, he is the king. He does pranam and he says, "Today is my birthday. You can ask me whatever I want." So this person says, oh, really? Okay. So he thinks, what I can ask, and he sees the king. This king is wearing very costly dress, and you see all the studs are diamond studs, whatever coat he is wearing. So he says that, no, I want that button, that stud from your coat. It is made out of, he understood it's a very big diamond. So this king said, oh yeah, why not? He removes the stud from that coat and he gives it. So this person very happily said, okay, my life is settled, I'll go. He goes away happily. Then a second person comes. King says, today is my birthday, so tell me what you want. So this person says, he thinks and then he says, I don't want anything. So no, you have to ask what you want. No, I don't want anything. I just have one wish. I just want to become friends with you. Can you make me as your friend? So king will say, what, this guy is very foolish. I am giving a open checkbook, and he is saying, I don't want anything. I'll just become your friend. This guy is really foolish. No, you ask me anything, that is fine. No, I just want. Okay, friendship is fine, but do you want anything else? No, I don't want anything. I just want to become your friend. Will you accept me as your true friend? King said, okay, fine. From today onwards, from this moment, you are my close friend. You are my true friend. Now he's a very poor person. Now he's a king sitting on a chariot. Now he's become his friend. He cannot live his friend like that. So immediately he calls his associates, give him a good dress. Immediately everyone brings a very costly dress like a king and gives him a good dress. Then he tells, give him some good food. Tomorrow invite him to palace. So tomorrow he invites, come, you are my friend now, you come to my palace. The moment he came to his palace, all these gatekeepers, guards, everyone are showering flowers on him. They are inviting him, they are looking him like a VIP. He is getting all the treatment what this king is getting. There is so many palatable dishes. King is giving, okay, this room is, whenever you are coming to the palace, this room is for you only. You take this room. And this kingdom is yours. You are my close friend. Whatever you want, you take it. Whatever my wealth, it is half for you only. You take, you are my close friend. So now what happened? King initially thought this guy is foolish. Now, but the moment he became a friend, the king automatically, out of that friendship, he started giving everything. Now, this person is actually a very, very intelligent person. So anyways, the moral of the story is, we should not be behind unwanted things that, oh God, give me that one, make my son or daughter marry, or give me little bit money, make my son get one medical seat, give me that, give me this. Whether you ask or not, automatically God will give you. Because we are all as children. When a small baby, 6 months old baby or 1 year old baby, that baby does not know to speak only. But automatically the mother will know when to feed that baby, right? Oh, now the baby is feeling hungry. Now the baby has to put to sleep. Irrespective of whether the baby is asking or not, the mother will know, mother will come and feed. The mother wait, oh, let the baby come and ask. Similarly, He is the supreme Father. He is Father of whether we ask or not, whether we turn against Him or not. If really that is the case, the God should not feed any of the atheists, right? There are so many of people in this world who does not believe in God at all, who scold the God, but He is feeding them also. He is feeding all the living entities. He is a dog on the road going and working and getting some salary. Some dogs are lucky enough to stay, they will be in the home. Some people will have owners and they will be, they'll be getting some good food from a pet shop. But there are some road dogs, they are also getting food, right? Even though they are not living in a home. So it is same for everyone. We will either we ask for it or not ask for it, we will get all these things. We should know what we have to pray for. That is what Prahlada Maharaja in chapter 7 he says, Yadi dasyasi me kamam varamstam varadarshabha kamanam yadi asambroham bhavatastu rene varam. Prahlada Maharaj says, oh Lord, I don't want any benediction from you. If at all you wish to give me benediction, please bless me so that I don't have any unwanted desire in my heart. That is the only benediction you give me. So our motto or our motive should only be that we become close friends with the Lord. Once you become friends with the Lord, He will automatically give you whatever you want. That is what Krishna says in Bhagavadgita, right? Ananyas chintayanto mam yejana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyamam. Those who are my devotee, I will give him whatever he lacks. Whatever he does not have, I will give him. And whatever he already has, I will preserve it. That is what Krishna says. This is the guarantee given by Krishna. Then why should we act foolishly? So all we have to do is consider Krishna as our friend. And the easiest way to do is the 4 things what we saw. Association, reading scriptures, books, A for association, B for books, C for chanting, and D for diet. And the most important thing out of that is chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. When we chant and remember the holy name of the Lord always, then we always, that is the way. Today, how to, people, we might have question, how do we become friends with the Lord? This is the way. You connect through Him, you connect to Him by the medium of japa. We have to chant. Okay? So thank you. This is about chapter 5. So just a quick summary. We saw 4 things. First, from shloka 1 to 12, we saw the different ways of living. We saw the difference between what is pravritti marga and nivritti marga. And then we saw the benefits of why the Lord is recommending pravritti marga to Arjuna. And the 3 benefits are, it will keep us engaged, then it will give us relationships, and then it's a platform for us to enjoy desires. And then we also saw there is a risk that we can always go into the mode of forgetting the Lord. And then we saw the benefits of nivritti marga. They don't have to bear the responsibilities, but the disadvantages, we'll have to be in seclusion. And then when we saw how one can lead his family life and at the same time do devotion. And for that, one has to lead his life like a lotus leaf untouched in water. And for that to happen, he has to keep 3 things in mind. One is mind and sense control. Second is we have to not be attached to the results. And third one is we have to offer results to Krishna. And then we saw the 4 do's, which is A for association, B for books, C for chanting, and D for diet. And then we saw the doer of action. Who is the actual doer? It is not the soul, but it's actually the body, which is actually a product of the modes of nature. And then finally we saw the equal vision, samadrishti, characteristics of a person with equal vision. He will be equipoised in both happiness and distress. He will have sense control and anger control, and then he will have inner happiness. And then how to attain this equal vision? Firstly, Lord says Ashtanga yoga, which will not work out, but ultimately he says by practicing devotion and by fixing oneself in the Supreme Lord, one can become devoted to the Lord, and this is what is called the peace formula. Okay, Hare Krishna. Anyone has any doubts or questions? How many of you are chanting? Started chanting?